Hi, I'm Annie with Miserable Cow Coaching. Contact information is in the description. Today I'm going to talk about a recurring play last tidal wave that's been showing up for me lately. It's very painful. But first, I'd like to thank everyone who signed up for a free coaching session. I mentioned in a previous video that I need to do a certain number of these in order to complete a coach training certification. So that's a really big help to me that a few of you signed up. There are a few spots left, so if you're interested in a free coaching session, just shoot me an email and I will hook you up with a link to schedule online. Also, speaking of tidal waves, I'd like to explore demon functions, demon animals, demon tidal waves in general with people in the community. And I'm interested in doing this in an interview format that would be recorded and posted publicly here on this channel. So if you're brave enough to publicly discuss tidal waves with me in an interview format to be posted on this channel, again, just send me a message and I'll hook you up with a link to schedule a session online. So what I want to tell you about is a recurring play last tidal wave that's been showing up for me recently. And I also want to talk about the importance of sharing our darkness and struggles and tidal wave issues with each other, because I think there's a lot of value there. So even though it's painful and it's scary and I don't particularly want to talk about it, I'm going to share this with you because I think that it's valuable that we share these things. In the objective personality community, we tend to understand this. We at least understand it rationally, that it's okay to explore and express darkness. In sharing that darkness with each other, we can learn from each other and also come to understand that everybody's got some kind of bullshit and we don't need to feel so alone and defective and isolated if we have a little bit of darkness inside. We don't need to hide that from each other. Most people instinctually shy away from sharing darkness. It's scary because it can literally feel like we're gonna die. If we share this negativity, if people know that we have darkness, then we might be ostracized by the tribe and we might literally be killed off. That's how it feels on a bodily level. And it's very isolating because we all have this darkness, but most of us are going around pretending that we don't. We feel alone, isolated, defective. We feel like imposters. This is reinforced when we hear things online on Facebook like, how do you deal with toxic people? I just can't stand toxic people. He's so toxic. She's so toxic. It's like, really? Is he toxic? Or is he just having a moment? Is he just doing the best he can to process the darkness and the challenges that are specific to him? You know, everybody has different darkness and challenges. We're all dealing with things. And it seems like in society, there's some stigma against sharing that or expressing it. And I think that's damaging. And I think you need to be real careful if you're slapping the label toxic on someone. The entire person is not toxic. They just maybe have some toxic thoughts, some toxic behaviors that they might be working on and trying to change. You hear, I just can't stand negative people. I can't be around negative people. Yeah, I get that to some extent. There are people that are so negative that they're all in on negativity. They're clinging to it. They're perpetuating it. They're attached to it. There are a lot of people, most of us, that are just having negative moments. We're just having a pessimistic day and it's transient and we're trying and we're not clinging to it or trying to be attached to it. We're trying to process it and move through it. And I think we can be more supportive of each other and more accepting of darkness. In general, the objective personality community is a safe place to do this, and that's what I really love about it. So I've been having some pain lately that really feels like it's coming from play last issues. So I'm clearly a single observer, but as they say, everyone has decider issues because we're people. Our place in the tribe and our relationship to the tribe is important for our survival. And so everybody's got a little bit of tribe and self issues going on. I have this belief about my role in the tribe. And I think it's a pretty accurate self-perception that I will never be one of the cool kids. I'm not extroverted enough. I'm not charismatic enough. I'm not goofy enough. I'm not social enough to ever play the popularity game at the same level as the more social people. I can say that fairly comfortably, and it's okay. I'm used to it. That's how it's been my whole life. Being introverted, being infodom, being slightly reserved, just generally not coming out to play as much as other people do. That has there's social consequences. And so I own my responsibility in this. I haven't put in the work to build interdependence and cooperation with the tribe, at least not to the extent that some super extroverted, charismatic people have. I've been too busy introspecting and indulging in solitude. I don't come out to play as much as other more social people do, and so it makes sense that I don't play the most prominent role in any given community or social scene. So I accept it, and also sometimes I push myself to grow in that area, and I try, and I come out and play, even though it's not the most natural thing for me. But there are times when I feel like this playlastness affects my ability to succeed in my career and in my creative endeavors. And it can feel like my literal survival is threatened. So this is a really embarrassing, sad fact about my February. In February, I only made $669 for the entire month. And I turned 45. That's objectively depressing. You know, nobody thinks when they're little, 5 or 10 years old, I wonder what I'll be doing when I'm 45. And you think of success, accomplishment. You think of where you will be in your career, what you will be doing, what you will be passionate about. You don't think that you'll be struggling to buy food. It's just not how you want to imagine yourself when you're middle-aged. So it was pretty demoralizing, but I had a good time anyway, because sometime in the beginning of February, I vowed to have a good time. God damn it, I'm gonna have a good time this month, and I did. But it was hard at moments. It was a struggle. You can imagine that's some scary stuff to try to rise above. But if you're wondering, does this mental game of growth and taking charge of happiness and being happy regardless of external circumstances work? Does it pay off to put your work into that kind of growth? Absolutely. Because I'm kind of amazed by how well I did in February, considering what I was dealing with. So that ability to spot the negativity when it arises and just take a beat to feel it and process it, and then change it up. Change the channel to a happier station. Roll up your sleeves and do what you can do to improve your situation and have a good time. And I'm really proud of how I handled it, even though at moments it was, difficult. And also my country isn't being attacked and invaded. So I feel like all things considered, I'm in a pretty safe and favorable situation. So it is true that income from massage therapy is really inconsistent. And it's also true that all the other massage therapists in my county were struggling and not making very much money in January and February because of the Omicron variant. But what is also true is that even regardless of Omicron, before Omicron, I've always been less popular. And it's not because I'm not good at what I do. It's because there's a direct correlation between, being a play last person, being super introverted, not networking as much, not going out and partying with the people. If I was the brightest, most beautiful social butterfly, then I would have more clients. That's just the nature of being self-employed and being in, a service-oriented, people-facing career. Charisma helps. Play energy helps a lot, and I don't have it. So in my 16 years as a massage therapist, I have noticed that extroverted massage therapists are more successful. What I don't understand about February is that I felt blocked on so many levels. I only got one Etsy order. That has nothing to do with my charisma. So I ended up actually owing money to the platform because I only had one sale and it didn't cover my fees. And that's the longest I've gone without a sale in 2 years. I mean, I get sales all the time, daily, weekly. So I felt really blocked, and it was really bizarre that wasn't moving at all. But there's economic pressures, there's inflation people are freaked out about. So there are logical reasons why Etsy is down as well. But then there were also other blocks, like I emailed someone and needed an answer to a question and just got no reply. I felt really blocked and confused about why the person didn't write back to me. And of course, this happens. I mean, I myself get thousands of emails every week. They can slip through the cracks. This is a very responsive, organized, conscientious person that I was dealing with. And so if she didn't write me back, it was just because shit comes up, you know? It could happen to anybody. But because I was in this very insecure, desperate feeling place, it almost felt like a decider issue. She doesn't like me. I did something to offend her. Maybe she thinks I smell funny. And none of that was true. You know, I finally connected with her. Like, she was just really busy. Of course, like, these things happen. But it was because of that desperation and being in that space where survival really actually was kind of threatened that just exacerbated every little tribe and self issue. It just like really highlighted all that, all of my feelings about my place in the tribe and my popularity, my connection to a community of support. My sister and her kids made me this bouquet. There's some handmade flowers here, and then there are these little money flowers. So there's $52 here in this money bouquet. And they gave that to me on my birthday. And I remember I woke up the next morning and my first thought was, I need to untie all that money and I need to take it to the bank and deposit it because my bank's gonna overdraw. And then I thought, that is so fucking pathetic. How fucking lame is that? That they gave me this beautiful handmade bouquet and my first thought is I need to get all that money and put it in the bank. That is fucking depressing. And so I resisted. I said, I'm gonna do everything that I can to not do that. I would like to keep this bouquet forever if I can and never use that money. I mean, maybe it'll be like some kind of prosperity charm or something, you know, but like I'm gonna resist as much as I can using that money out of desperation. And I was trying to have a good time and put myself out there. So there were some times when I sort of reached out for collaborations with people like, hey, do you want to collaborate with me on this project or that project? And got no response, like literally no response at all. And I was feeling like kind of personal about it, like taking it personally, like in a way that I would think it feels like if you're a decider to take things personally, which, you know, I normally don't. Just having a lot of very ugly victim-y thoughts. And those kinds of thoughts are really scary to share with people, to admit that you're having those thoughts because you aren't supposed to do that. You're not supposed to share darkness. I had thoughts like, I'm offering something valuable and no one wants it. No one wants to play with me. I'm defective. And feeling like afraid to share this. I think people can already sense this sort of like desperate, clingy energy, this gross force field around me that's very repellent. And of course they won't want to work with me if I'm desperate and gross and negative and a victim. People don't want to do collaborations with people that are, you know, presenting themselves in that way energetically. So I try to put on a happy face and hide it and, you know, not mention that that's how I'm feeling. And to just keep putting myself out there, just keep, you know, having these moments of bravery, reaching out with play energy to try to collaborate, communicate, play with people, and getting shot down over and over again, and then getting up again and doing it some more. And this kind of stuff happens in marketing, and I understand it completely. I understand how return on investment works in marketing. You reach out to 1,000 people, and if you're lucky, maybe 10 of them want to work with you. That's just how it goes. And it's the same thing with return on social investment. It shouldn't be surprising that not everyone's up to play in the way that you want them to, or not everyone wants to collaborate or meet up with you or do a project with you. You throw a bunch of shit out there and you see what sticks. You throw out like, you know, 1,000 play feelers and maybe 5 people want to play with you. And I didn't feel personally offended by any one specific person because I'm not a decider. So it's like really hard for me to access that. Except all of this pain really highlighted the play last issue, and that the wound there in the play last is deeper than I realized. So when I'm in a dark place and I do the play energy and the response isn't favorable or there's no response at all, I didn't realize how painful that was. And there was no specific person that offended me. There was no one I needed to forgive until I realized it's me, which is a really DI flavor of a decider issue. I hate me. I'm offended by me. I'm sick of me. And ultimately, I need to forgive me. And so I've got decider issues with myself, basically, which is, yeah, such a DI thing. So what I value in this whole experience is that it brought this to light. And I realized, wow, there is a wound there. That play last thing can kind of hurt sometimes, more than I realized that it could. And I didn't even film this video and post it on time this week because I was too fucked up about this. It's scary and vulnerable to share it. But like I said, February felt like there was a force field around me that was blocking a whole bunch of shit, and it just lifted. Like yesterday was March 3rd, and before 10 a.m., I had made $460. So before 10 a.m., I made half in one day of what I made in the entire month of February. And so I'm thinking it's only the 3rd, and so maybe it's going to be a better month. And there are also bookings happening on my calendar and communication around collaborations that I'm doing with different people. And I just suddenly feel unblocked. My phone calls are being returned. My messages are being answered. People want to work with me. They want to collaborate. And so I don't feel so insecure. I feel so much better that I'm actually able to share this, because I didn't want to come on camera and give off that, victim stink, because I know that the way that I'm feeling is just so insecure and desperate and dark and gross and pathetic. It's scary to share that with people. So now, after processing it and in retrospect, I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable sharing that and just saying like, yeah, hey, we have bad months sometimes. Everybody has a bad day, bad month, bad week. Everybody has some darkness that they're dealing with and, challenging things they're trying to process. And I keep seeing these posts every day on Facebook, like, a couple times a day. How do you deal with negative people? I just can't fucking stand negative people. And I get that, if you have someone that's clinging to the negativity and it's a habit. But, my response is, if you're negative, if you're dealing with darkness, if you're having a moment, you're dealing with personal challenges, come sit next to me, because I don't hate you. You don't drain the life out of me. Let's talk about it. Let's process it together, because we've all been there. And there's no sense in pretending that everything's okay all the time. So that's my story. I'm wishing everyone a really wonderful March, a wonderful, prosperous March with good energy moving. That's what I'm hoping for myself.